Hey everyone, it's Rose. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about all of the books that I've read recently from July through August. The day that I'm filming this is like September 6th, so I know that this video is coming out kind of late, but it's fine. I've read 8 books recently. 7 of them I read in July, and then I read 1 in August. I was reading a couple different books in August, but I only finished 1. So the first one is The Last Unicorn by Peter S. Beagle. I didn't know that it was the graphic novel version until I opened the book on the app and started reading it, and I didn't even know that there was a graphic novel version in the first place, but I loved it. The art was so good. Maybe I'll put in some pictures because I did take a few screenshots. If you've seen The Last Unicorn, the movie, it's literally the exact same thing. That movie was one of my favorites growing up, but I haven't seen it in a long time. So I kind of forgot what the story was supposed to be about. So I was kind of experiencing it for the first time. It felt like I was. The next book that I read is Dancing at the Pity Party by Tyler Fader. This is a graphic novel, but it's a memoir. It's about Tyler's mom, how she got diagnosed with cancer and how hard that was for their family, and then just how their life changed after they found out and then after she died. I've had 2 experiences with death in my life, and so some of the things that I was reading in this book was very relatable. I gave this 5 out of 5. I cried so much, and it made me think about my relationship with my mom, and I'm so grateful that I'm close to her. We could be closer, I think, but I'm grateful that my mom is in my life. I know a lot of people don't have that. Next book that I read was The Turn of the Screw by Henry James. I listened to the audiobook for this one. It is a classic horror story. It's been retold dozens of times, and it's been made into a movie dozens of times. The most recent movie adaptation came out in 2017, I think, with Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things. I actually watched that. It was kind of good, I guess. The ending kind of got on my nerves a little bit, I think. But the movie was decent. They're both similar, but the book was just incredibly boring, and it was very hard to pay attention to the audiobook just because I was not invested. I don't even know why I finished it. The audiobook was free, so I guess it wasn't that bad, but yeah, I gave this 2 stars. I didn't like it. The next book that I read was Daylight Chasers by Bruce Sparks. I gave this 5 stars. I've talked about this one a couple times since I've read it. I remember saying that I read this at exactly the right time in my life, just because some of the things that I read in this book were things that I needed to hear, but hearing them when I did, the timing was just perfect. I'm not going to explain what this book is about because honestly you don't need to know. You just need to read it. It's only 50 pages. Not even, I don't even think it makes 50 pages. Yeah, it's not even 50 pages. It's 45. The concept of the story is super interesting. My mom just texted me that she made pastaroni, and I really want to cry because I love pastaroni. Anyways, I have 4 tabs in here, and I only tab things that hit me, So yeah. Just read this. You won't regret it. Yes. The next book that I read was The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. This one is the first book in the companion series, so the second one is The Bride Test, and the third one actually just came out, The Heart Principle. But this one is about a girl who has Asperger's syndrome, which is high-functioning autism, and she's 30, and she doesn't have experience with dating or just men in general, and so she hires this man to like teach her how to be in a relationship, and like he teaches her some other stuff too. So this book was pretty steamy. This is like one of my favorite books that I've read this year. I gave it 5 stars. I bought The Bride Test immediately after finishing this. The next book that I read took me like an hour to read. Like it could have taken me less time, but I was just like enjoying it so much. I read Corpse Bride, the illustrated story. I found this in a bookstore that was just like in the most random spot in the most random town, and like I cannot even believe that I found this. I didn't even know this existed. Corpse Bride is one of my favorite movies of all time, and so like it's literally just the movie but like in a book. And so like the movie is kind of a musical, like they sing a lot, and so like if we ever come across a musical number, we get like the lyrics and like who's singing the words and whatnot, and also we get like illustrations. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this. We get like illustrations from before they like actually started animating the movie, and that was cool as well. They did have to like take out some of the major plot points to keep this book short. And so like if you've never seen the movie and you read this, you're gonna miss a lot. So the last book that I read in July was Flowers for Algernon. My friend from work was telling me how he's read this book like 15 times and it's his favorite book of all time, and he told me to read it. So I read it and it was so good. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. I cried for 20 minutes after I finished reading it. This is about a guy named Charlie who has a very, very low IQ, but he's been chosen for this new experiment, for this surgery that could increase your IQ. Like he goes through with the surgery and like the experiment is going as expected, but then the mouse that they tested this surgery on eventually dies. And so now like they're wondering if the same thing's going to happen to Charlie. So the last book that I'm going to talk about is the only book that I finished in August. I read Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. This is the graphic novel edition, which I didn't know existed until I was visiting the new bookstore that we have in the town next to mine. Some lady just opened up a bookstore like 3 months ago and I just heard about it. And so like I went there. It was very, very small. She only had like 6 or so bookshelves, but like she's still like working on getting it stocked up and everything. But my mom was paying and me and my brother were standing next to one of the shelves. It was like full of books that we would have read when we were in like middle school. And so we were just talking about them, and then I just happened to look down at like one of the lower shelves and I saw like the spine, and I was like, I don't remember what rating I gave this. Like I haven't updated my reading journal in like a month, so like it's not written in there yet, but I don't remember what rating I gave it. Truth be told, I didn't like it as much as I thought I would. Like I've always wanted to read Long Way Down, like not necessarily the graphic novel version, but like I've always wanted to read it, and like I didn't like it as much as I thought I would. Like for a second I kind of forgot that I read this. But it's about a boy, I think he's like 15 or 16 or something like that. His brother or his cousin, he was murdered by somebody who shot him, and so this kid, he's like going to avenge his death by like he's gonna go shoot the guy who did it. And so like he's in the elevator in his building, like going down to go outside, and on every floor that the elevator stops at, somebody who is connected to his life in some way gets on the elevator and like talks to him. The story was very interesting, very sad. The art is beautiful. The artist did all of the art in watercolor paint, and watercolor paint is like my favorite form of painting, and so like I really enjoyed that. But yeah, those were all of the books that I've read recently. So far this year I've read 22 books, and my goal is to read 30 this year, and so like I'll definitely be able to do that. There are a few books that I've been pretty excited to read. Let me know in the comments what is a book that you've read recently that you really loved. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you aren't already. I will have my Instagram and my Goodreads linked in the description. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.